Hello and welcome back to Glowing Smile HQ. These episodes keep getting better and better, and I'm so excited to report that we've reached #1 in the nation. Of course, that's all thanks to our high priest who made it so we're the only show even played in the United States anymore. Anyway, that's enough of me gushing about our ratings. Let's get into the actual episode, so prepare to smile wide. In the first episode, I talked about how in this show, our primary educational focus would be on science and history. Well, I've gotten word back from our high priest that while we've been focusing on the majority of their time on science, and that they are happy the new generation is becoming more educated on what fear is, we need to work on showing a bit more on the social aspect of your education during our show. So in today's episode, we'll be focusing on how to be a good American and devotee. In order to understand what it means to be a proper devotee, first you kiddos need to learn about the hierarchy put in place by our high priest. The documentary at the end of the last episode briefly covered the hierarchy, but we'll go into that a bit more detail here later. At the very, very top sits the Great Mother. She is the one that provides the warm glow that encompasses us all. She is the guiding light of our nation and is who we worship every day. There is no one above her, and she is the one who decides all the rules and laws for our great nation. The only person who has direct contact with the Great Mother is the High Priest. We all know the High Priest, our wonderful benefactor for the show, and the person who is on the radio every night saying psalms before we go to bed at the designated time. They are the one who communicates the Great Mother's plans to the rest of us, as she is the only speaks to them and they don't allow anyone else to see her magnificent form. For our safety, of course. Our feeble bodies wouldn't be able to handle actually being in direct presence with the Mother. We would simply burn up and rot from the inside out before we even hit the ground. Below the High Priest sits the Acolytes, the group of people who are in direct informants for the High Priest. They travel across the United States in order to make sure everything is in tip-top shape, since the High Priest is only one man. Wait, that's not right. Since the High Priest is so busy taking care of other matters, it's something is the matter and requires a higher ranked individual for assistance, which is very rarely needed and should barely even be thought about. The Acolytes are who to go to. They usually have offices in major cities such as New York, Chicago, or Los Angeles. Right under the Acolytes is the clergymen. The clergymen are similar to the Acolytes in their duties, but have a much larger number and are based in every single town and city across the U.S. Your beloved hosts here used to be a clergyman themselves, but recently I've done such a great work that the High Priest gave me the great honor of hosting this show and promoting me to Acolyte, the first ever instance of that happening. Though to be a bit humble, I'm sure it was just because the Acolytes have been so busy lately. I mean, it's been a while since anyone has heard from them after all. Anyway, the bottom of the hierarchy is where you all fit, the devotees. Just because you sit at the bottom of the ladder, though, doesn't mean that you are any less important. Devotees have the important job of showcasing how successful our country is. At first, the other nations around the globe looked at us with disdain, but recently, we haven't heard any negative instances at all. I'm sure it's because they realize how happy we are and are jealous. But anywho, that covers the basics of the hierarchy in our beloved nation. Coming up, we'll be taking calls from viewers like you in order to answer any questions you may have directly on camera. Stay tuned.
So, this works.
Are you okay?
Card sports!
Welcome back. Now, any minute we should have some calls incoming from kiddos like you asking us some questions. Oh, our first caller. Let's hear what questions they have.
Name is Timmy and I am from North Dakota. I am 6 years old and my question was, how do I be a good devotee?
Well, Timmy, thank you for calling. And there are many ways for you to be a good devotee. The main thing is to listen to any and all instructions given to you by your local clergyman. There are weekly mandatory meetings that all good devotees go to where instructions will be given. It is also important that you are always in the presence of at least one other devotee. Our minds can wander when we're by ourselves, and that's no good. Free thought was made illegal back in 2004 after the Mall of All New America incident, so we want to avoid that at all costs. And of course, make sure that after the high priest's sermon on the radio, you pray for at least an hour straight to the Great Mother before going to bed. Now, little Timmy, that was one call this is in. These instructions are important for all of you watching. If any of these instructions are not completed, your local clergyman will of course come and deal with you. Ooh, our next caller. Let's see who it is.
Hello, my name is Susie and I am from Nevada. I am 8 years old and my question is, what should I do about the bodies in the street? They used to be my neighbors, but now they be laying face down in the gutters with their hair falling out and their skin melting off their bones.
This is a good question, Susie. In this instance, it sounds like your neighbors were secretly cold ones and were rejected by the mother once they revealed their true nature. Now, how to deal with them is that you will need to call the office of your local clergyman, and then they'll arrange a proper cleanup squad to sweep up those bodies and scrape any leftover flesh and blood off the pavement. Okay, I think we have time for 2 or 3 more questions before we move on to the next segment of the show. Let's see who's next.
My name is Jonathan and I'm from Connecticut, and I was wondering where the cold ones sit.
Oh, Jonathan, how silly of you. You should know better than to ask those type of questions about the cold ones. The high priest really doesn't like it when they are brought up, besides in conversation of where and how to capture them. We have special permission to talk about them here for education purposes. You don't. I will ask our benevolent benefactor if we're allowed to answer your question, but I doubt you'll ever hear the answer over the noise of your education program. Lucky for the rest of you, our high priest has given us permission to answer the question anyway. The reason why the cold ones were not included in the hierarchy chart is because they aren't proper citizens of our country, so they don't even deserve a spot on the chart. They are simply loose ends that need to be trimmed or tidied up. Of course, we all know what I mean by trimmed, but some of you may want to know what I mean by tidied. Come on in, boys! See, our magnificent helpers here used to be cold ones themselves, but after proper training, we managed to adapt and teach them how to be proper citizens. Now they work for us and help us sniff out any other cold ones who may be trying to hide away. Come on, smile, boys. Show the kiddos you're grateful and that you're proud that you are proper devotees now. Leave. Now, we've covered a lot of ground today, so let's call it here for now for the history and social proportion of our show, and simply continue on to the Fear Showcast once we return from break. See you in a second.
We all know how difficult it is when moving to a new place. The struggles of trying to find the right fit for you and your family while staying in your budget. Well, Tillo has recently come out with a new line of houses that may be the exact fit for you and your family. Tillo houses come with state-of-the-art concrete walls with a thick layer of lead paint on each side for insulation during those insert annoying temperature here months. You can even customize what color you want your lead paint to be, allowing that special touch and personal feel to shine through. Each house also has these state-of-the-art fire alarms placed all around the house just to really make sure your family is safe and sound, allowing you to relax knowing that your lives aren't in any sort of danger. With each Tillo house purchase, you will receive these brand new workout/sauna suits that are all the rage recently. So you can look good and feel good when you invite the new neighbors over to brag about your magnificent house. And finally, we have these magnificent industrial showers that are located in every room of the house. So when you feel the need to freshen up, you will never need to go far. So call now in order to get a quote on your new house today. Your future hangs in the balance. It's best not to squander it. Praise be the mother.
Today we will be having a fun fear to showcase. I'm practically jumping out my seat at the thought of it. The fear we'll be showing today is suffocation. Unfortunately, we couldn't find a fun name to call it like some of the other phobias we've talked about here. Oh well, there's something very fun about this specific fear as well. Because of the nature of it, there are multiple types of suffocation. The first type is done intentionally by another person as a form of harm. Let's see it. Well, look at that. Normally, when this type of suffocation is used, it's continued until the person has intentionally passed away. But of course, we won't be doing that because we still have more suffocation techniques to test out with our cold friend. we considered showing you kids strangulation, the act of strangling someone, but technically it falls under its own category and it's a separate form of regular suffocation. Let's roll to the next form of suffocation instead. This form of suffocation is called choking. This is when something gets lodged in the throat of someone and blocks their airways. Of course, choking can happen to normal people like us as well, but we aren't scared of it, obviously. We know how to dislodge the block in our airways by ourselves without panicking. The way we do it is by making a fist with one hand. The thumb on the side of your fist must be placed over the ribcage, just above the belly button. Then grasp your fist with your other hand and press it firmly into your abdomen. Use a quick upward pressure to create a forceful thrust and keep doing that until the object is dislodged. Now, this next form of suffocation is a fun one. It's known as smothering. This is the act of someone covering their mouth and nose of another person, our cold friend in particular, and covering their airways until they can no longer breathe and they end up suffocating. Incredible! Our final form of suffocation is my personal favorite, waterboarding. Now, technically just like strangulation, waterboarding is its own thing and happens to involve some suffocation. But our high priest has allowed us to demonstrate it anyway because of its use during our nation's history. It's history and science. How lovely! They're also allowing us to demonstrate it because it's a bit of a sneak peek at a fear we're doing in later episodes. Let's roll to the clip. How fun! Now that's all we have for today's episode. After this commercial break, we'll play our standard documentary clip like always. Our high priest would like me to state that in the last episode of our documentary, footage was corrupted and the last 30 seconds should be ignored, as the information contained in it is incorrect and a lie. This is why this specific clip was given to us to showcase the danger of the cold ones and importance of reporting them when they are seen. Anyways, that's all I have for today. I'll see you in the next time. Praise be the Mother and her glowing domination.
Of course, there will always be those who go against the grain and refuse to embrace the glowing warmth of the Mother. Those individuals are the previous Homo sapiens, also known as the Cold Ones. The Cold Ones reside in the frigid shadows of society, hiding from the great blessings bestowed upon the rest of us. They perform blasphemy by cursing out the Great Mother and claiming that her warmth and light is harmful to us, claiming that she is killing us slowly over time and dooming the new human race. Their claims are false and defamatory. The Great Mother wishes only the best for us, and they simply can't understand her, as they have rejected her before they have even felt her warmth. Because of their hostility towards the Mother and the general public, regulations have been put in place to subdue the Cold Ones to stop the spread of misinformation. If a Cold One surrenders peacefully, then they will be taken to the closest acolyte and assimilated into the collective glow. They will be welcomed back into society and will have no need for further education, being set free to join the rest of the flock. If a Cold One refuses to turn themselves in and continues to act against the Mother, then they will be tracked down until they are caught and forcibly brought into the collective glow. When a Cold One is a particular problem and spreading misinformation to the point where it causes public disruptions, they are personally tracked down by the high priest. Once caught, they will be put through a harsh punishment and re-education before then being exposed to the warmth of the Mother. Often the Cold Ones cannot handle the powers of the Mother and succumb to them instead, truly showing how unworthy they were for it. As time goes on, the number of Cold Ones diminishes, but they have become harder to catch and re-educate. Of course, this is at no fault of the Mother. Instead, the Cold Ones have become like rats. They hide together and band together in order to take down the true acolytes and kidnap the children of the mother in order to steal her warmth away from them. But do not fear, the remaining acolytes and the high priest have taken the duty upon themselves to protect our society and take down these cold ones once and for all.